From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has criticized Israel for its actions and opposed the expansion of Jewish settlements in Palestinian territories. In a speech to the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee summit on Monday, Blinken said the U.S. is committed to a two-state solution. AIPAC is a pro-Israel political action committee that lobbies for pro-Israel policies. Blinken said Washington is focused on re-engaging the Palestinian people and restoring trust. He told AIPAC Israel's settlement expansion, annexation of the West Bank, and disruption of the status quo at holy sites hurts the prospects for a two-state solution. He also raised issues such as the ongoing demolition of Palestinian homes and the displacement of families who have lived there for generations. Blinken said the cornerstone of President Joe Biden's policy is deepening Israel's relationship with its neighbors. He said Washington provides Israel with $3.3 billion in foreign military funding each year. Israel also receives $500 million in funding for missile defense. Tens of millions more are provided for new technologies to defend against drones and tunnels. The U.S. is providing another $1 billion to replenish Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. The U.S. government has set a timetable for investigating anti-Semitic and Islamophobic behavior in federal workplaces. The strategy, outlined in a 60-page document, calls for the Pentagon to evaluate measures to combat discrimination, harassment, and extremist activity by November. It is the first such analysis to specifically assess anti-Semitic and Islamophobic activity in the military. The document calls on state governments to train their security and law enforcement personnel to combat anti-Semitism. The Biden administration has set a September deadline for the Justice Department and the Department of Homeland Security to take similar action. Similarly, the Department of Treasury will encourage small businesses to report incidents of hate to appropriate authorities. The Faith-Based Security Advisory Council has been asked to strengthen resources and tools to protect Jewish and other communities nationwide by November. Authorities in Oklahoma have approved the application for opening the first publicly funded Catholic school in the United States. The move has sparked a debate over the separation of church and state and whether public money can be used for religious education. The St. Isidore of Seville Catholic Virtual School is operated by the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Oklahoma City and the Diocese of Tulsa. The Oklahoma Statewide Virtual Charter School Board approved the school by a narrow 3-2 vote. The board is made up of members appointed by Republican Governor Kevin Stitt, who supports religious charter schools. Republican lawmakers have advocated for alternatives to public schools. They have sought tax credits and subsidies for parents to cover the cost of private education, often at religious schools. The government has partially funded religious schools in other states, such as Hasidic Jewish schools in New York City. Hundreds of journalists working for Gannett, America's largest newspaper chain, walked off the job on Monday. They were protesting budget cuts and calling for a vote of no confidence in CEO Mike Reed. They claim Reed is responsible for the company's financial woes. The journalists, represented by the NewsGill Communications Workers of America Union, claim Reed is jeopardizing readers' access to local news. In a statement, the company said its leadership is focused on investing in local newsrooms and marketing content in a difficult economic climate. The Journalists Union said Reed collected a salary of $7.7 million in 2021 and $3.4 million last year. It also said he has forced journalists to seek work elsewhere and cut budgets for local coverage. The New York Times reported Monday Gannett has cut its staff nearly in half since 2019. A UN oversight panel is holding the U.S. and 7 other countries responsible for the illegal detention and torture of a Saudi detainee at Guantanamo Bay Prison. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention heard the case of Abdurrahman al-Nashiri, a Saudi national of Yemeni descent. He is suspected of being the mastermind of the October 2000 suicide bombing of the missile destroyer USS Cole, in which 17 sailors were killed. Lawyers said al-Nashiri was captured in Dubai in 2002. For 4 years, he was shuttled between various CIA black sites before being moved to Guantanamo Bay in 2006. He was indicted in 2008. The UN panel called for a full and independent investigation into al-Nashiri's detention. It also called for an independent inquiry into his torture allegations. The panel's 5 independent experts said the appropriate remedy was al-Nashiri's immediate release and granting him compensation and reparations. The working group said al-Nashidi had been discriminated against because of his nationality and religious beliefs. The panel also accused Lithuania, Morocco, Poland, and the United Arab Emirates, among others, for their involvement in al-Nashidi's torture. Extremist Hindus in India are blaming Muslims for the Odisha train accident that killed at least 275 people and injured over 1,000 last week. They have been using social media to falsely claim the fatal accident occurred near a mosque, using a drone image of the accident site. The fact-checking website Alt News later confirmed the structure seen in the drone photo was actually a Hindu temple. The house of worship is run by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Muslim Network TV has compiled a special report on this. Let's watch.
Tragic train crash on June 2, 2023 involved 2 passenger trains and 1 cargo train. While the train track is yet to be cleared, the blame game is on its track and running at full throttle. Islamophobes have already targeted their suspect, Muslims. They say Muslims have done it. The evidence? There is a mosque close to the crash site. Social media in India is buzzing. This is the state of Indian Islamophobia, and there is a pattern to this madness. When the Modi-led BJP-RSS regime failed to control the COVID-19 pandemic, more than 4.7 million Indian citizens died, according to the United Nations World Health Organization. The BJP-RSS regime blamed Muslims for spreading COVID. #CoronaJihad led the campaign. Economically struggling Muslims and members of the mosque-going Tabligh community were arrested. Muslim fruit sellers were boycotted. The BJP-RSS machine is good at what it does. Modi's Home Minister Amit Shah says, real or fake, we can make any message go viral. RSS officially claims to have 10,000 social media cell meetings on a weekly basis. That is power. This is Hindutva modus operandi, to divert attention from their failure and make Muslims into villains. In 2002, when Narendra Modi was Chief Minister of Gujarat, Muslims were accused of burning a train and killing Hindus. These rumors provoked Hindus against Muslims. Narendra Modi then told police to let Hindus vent their anger, leading to pogrom of Muslims. Fake news in India kills. When BBC released a documentary exposing Narendra Modi and his Hindu militants' role into the mass killings of Muslims, the Modi government evoked emergency laws immediately banning the documentary in India. It also raided India's BBC offices. The fake news machine and the control of media is giving India a bad name. In its 2023 report, France-based Reporters Without Borders rated media freedom in India below that in Afghanistan, Somalia, and Colombia. And the US Freedom House now calls India partially free.
Another Islamophobic film rolls out in India. Details after the break, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. After Kashmir Files and Kerala Story, India's Bollywood film industry is launching another Islamophobic film entitled Senitu Horain. The The film's teaser shows images of Osama bin Laden and others involved in the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks and the 1993 bombings. It stars Pawan Malhotra and Amir Bashir and focuses on the consequences of religious fanaticism. The trailer of the Bollywood film was shared on Twitter by Ashok Pandit, the film's co-director, who is known for his anti-Islamic views. This is the third Bollywood film in less than a year dealing with Islamic extremism. These movies were promoted by India's Hindu nationalist government, which made them tax-free in several states. Opposition leaders have accused the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party of using these films as propaganda. Experts say the movies aim to incite hatred against Muslims and distort events to suit an anti-Muslim agenda. Amnesty International has called for global intervention to address the lurking climate crises in Pakistan. In a report released Monday, the global human rights watchdog said the South Asian country faces multiple disasters, including floods and heat waves. The report says Pakistan is at the forefront of the climate crisis. It says people face disproportionately severe and often life-threatening consequences. Pakistan emits less than 1% of greenhouse gases, yet it is among the 10 countries most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Last year, it experienced the worst rains in recent history, flooding a third of the country and claiming more than 1,700 lives. Of the country's roughly 250 million people, more than 33 million were affected by the floods, which caused $30 billion in damages. In related news, a climate crisis is threatening the world's largest refugee camp in the Bangladeshi city of Cox's Bazar. The coastal city in southeastern Bangladesh is home to 900,000 Rohingya refugees who live in camps. During the recent Cyclone Mocha, landslides were the biggest problems in the camps. Activists say a lack of cyclone shelters makes it difficult to rescue people. They also say materials used to build shelters in refugee camps are highly susceptible to fire. Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable countries in the world to climate crises. About 450,000 people were affected in Cox's Bazar from Cyclone Mocha. According to the International Organization for Migration, Cox's Bazar is one of the most disaster-prone districts in Bangladesh. A prominent Muslim group in Ethiopia has expressed concern over the demolition of mosques in the Oromia region. The Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs of Ethiopia called on Muslims to remain calm, saying it would seek a solution through dialogue with the government. The council warned the situation could be exploited by groups with political agendas. 2 civilians were killed and more than 40 people, including police officers, were injured when Muslims protested the demolitions in the capital Addis Ababa on Friday. The council said at least 19 mosques had been illegally demolished in the city of Shagar. It called on the regional government to immediately halt demolitions. The Oromia state government said the demolition campaign was not directed against any particular religion. The region's communications office said in a press statement illegal buildings were being targeted in more than 600 towns. The Ethiopian Human Rights Commission has called on security forces to show restraint. Oromia has a Muslim population of 48%. It is Ethiopia's largest region with 20 administrative zones. Before we end today's news, I'd like to make a special request. It takes our team a combined 55 hours of work daily to produce this news for you. It is news with a unique perspective, and you will find it only here. Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization which produces it, and like PBS and NPR, it depends on your donations. Please visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, or click on the link below to donate. Thank you. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.